Alright guys, welcome back to Steve-O's Fishing. Today we're going to do part 2 of our pre-spawn baits. Part 1, the previous video, was related to pre-spawn search baits. This one is going to tackle 2 baits that I like to use kind of in between a finesse style and a search bait, and then also the finesse style baits that I like to use during the pre-spawn. So let's go. The first bait I'm going to talk about are going to be what I like to call kind of a search bait, but more of a finesse bait, because during the pre-spawn you're going to fish it slow. So even though you can use it to find bass, usually it's not the quickest method, like a lipless or square bill would be. So that is going to be the jerkbait. In the pre-spawn, you want to fish this bait pretty slow, because the bass aren't going to be very active. So normally, you vary your retrieve, sometimes a twitch, pause, twitch, pause, but sometimes you'll let it sit there for 20-25 seconds. It just depends. So it is one of those ones that are a little slower. That's why I normally put this in between the finesse style baits and the search baits. So a couple of the colors that I like to use, I plan on using something that is clear for the brighter, sunnier days. So that one, I can't remember who makes this one, but this is a little, as you can see, it's kind of translucent. That's one color I like to use there. And then if it's a little stained water, murkier water, I will throw something like this, where it has a little bit more of a profile. I also like, this is one of my favorite, this is a Lucky Craft pointer. That color there, I'll use that anywhere from clear to stained water. See that color pattern? It's similar to the one that I just showed you, the Lucky Craft pointer, but I'm looking to see what that action's like. And the paint job is pretty good on it, so I'm going to throw that some too. And the rattle's a little different, so that's one nice thing about trying different things, seeing which ones you like and which jerkbaits you don't like, just because the action is different based on everyone's retrieve. I like to use a spinning reel on that. If you're fishing in a pond area, something that mimics pretty close to a perch, but for a bluegill style, could also be something that you want to throw, because that's a lot of the main forage in ponds. So you get something like that, the bass might relate to that a little bit better than something that looks like a minnow or shad. Then one other type of jerkbait, the same type, but this one is even more finesse. So sometimes if you're not getting bites on the larger 3-hooked jerkbaits, I'll throw down and I'll go down to some of these really small jerkbaits, especially in your ponds and stuff. This I've had a lot of luck in the past. Usually what I would do is I'd go trout fishing, and a couple of the ponds around here stock them, so when I get done catching my limit of trout, I'd switch over to bass, and this type of lure, this small little jerkbait, worked really well. And I got plenty of different colors of those, but I might actually try throwing that more this year, just because sometimes the bass just want a little smaller meal as they're getting ready to start feeding once the water heats up over that 50-degree mark. Then the next area that's in between the search and the finesse would be a swim bait. These I had a lot of success with, not so much last year, I didn't throw them too much, but the year before that. I like the Strike King, or I used to get the Bass Pro Shop ones, but basically they're just these ribbed swim baits with this little paddle tail here on the end. The main colors that I use are going to be something that replicates a clear minnow shad color. I like the green pumpkin for, once again, clear water, maybe a little more stained. And then I also throw black and blue when that water is a little murkier. I've had luck on all those colors. And I like to throw them on this open hook earlier in the season before the weeds, or you can use weedless ones also. And that's what I've done. I've bought some of those since then. So basically what that looks like is it's the hook and there's a little weight on the bottom of it. So you'll thread that through, make it weedless, and then the only problem with that is the hook set ratio on that isn't as good as the open one. So when a bass takes it, if you have to pull hard to get that through the body, because some of these swim bait bodies are a little bit thicker. This I'll throw if it's calm out, because that silhouette looks so natural in the water, those swim baits. I like to always have a little ripple on the water. I think that's how every Maine fisherman likes to fish, where there's a little something breaking up what's underneath the water in the sun and the clouds and stuff. But I like to throw these on overcast days. Same with the jerk baits, overcast days, where they're going to be moving a little bit more. This is just super finesse type of search bait because there's no rattles to it. It just looks super natural and it comes through real quiet through the water. So jerk baits, swim baits, in between that search bait type. Then we get into the finesse style. Now, my main finesse presentation that I like to use is the finesse jig. We all know that. I did a special video just on finesse jigs. So if I can't use that, or if that is, not working for me, then I'll try some other options. Now, the first option I'll go by temperature wise. So the colder it is, I'm probably going to lean more towards a Ned rig. And I bought some of these from, I believe it was on Tackle Warehouse, obviously. But this is a lifted jigs, EWG. So this allows you to make your Ned rig weedless, which is nice because those weeds grow pretty quickly as soon as that water starts warming up. So this is nice because you're able to get that Ned rig into areas that you wouldn't normally get, because the other type of Ned rig hook, which is like this, is completely not weedless. The nature of the Ned rig is this sits on the bottom. Then you have your bait, your Ned rig. This is just a green pumpkin Z-Man. That hooks up into there, and it sits on the bottom, especially these Z-Man ones that float. But if it's all on the bottom, especially if you don't have it weedless, you're going to get stuck on everything, and it's not going to be a very enjoyable afternoon for you. So that's what I like to use when it's colder and the finesse jig's not working for me, because they might just want a little lighter presentation. But I have that. I have the regular TRDs, and I also got some of these craws in all different colors. As you can see in my finesse jig video, I used a lot of those as trailers. But I got plenty more, so maybe I'll do a Ned rig video going through the different types of Ned rig baits that I like to use. But that would be it. And normally I go the size of this jig head is, I like the lighter the better. But normally about an 1/8 ounce. I may go as high as a 1/4 ounce, but I like that 1/8 ounce and the 1/16 ounce. So those would be my first choice, the colder water. Then, depending on the bottom, and I am not very good at this bait, but it's going to be the drop shot. I finally figured out how to hook it up the right way and do everything with that as far as it relates to rigging it so that it works the right way, and with the Palomar knot, and then putting the line back through the Palomar knot so the hook stood up versus down, all that kind of stuff. But I just haven't used it much, and I haven't had much luck. Normally I like to use this when it's less weedy, so if you're fishing like a gravel bottom or a rock bottom where it's not, big chunk rocks, because then your weight's probably just going to get stuck in the rock there. But more of a gravel, sand bottoms I think would work better. You could try it before all the weeds come up, but just a little tough. So normally I'll this is a specific place, especially from fishing from shore. Anyone that fishes from shore knows that it just doesn't look the same as it would if you're fishing from a boat where you can just jig it up and down and then watch your electronics, which I don't really like to do that, and I don't find that appealing at all, so that's why I just haven't picked up the drop shot much. But I got some different baits with it to try and do that kind of stuff. So that's my goal this year. Some of the ones that I got, I'm not sure who makes these, but just like a little green pumpkin there. I also got some of these ones that mimic more of a shad. So what I would do with the drop shot is mainly just match your forage type and then go from there. And like I said, I like the cylinder weights, or I also got some of these weights that are more of a pyramid looking style. And then I usually just use the owner mosquito hooks. So I'll hook that up, tie that up onto the onto the line, put the weight down below it, and then give it a shot. So RoboWorm makes a lot of drop shot stuff. I have a couple of those bags, and then I got some of the Strike King stuff, and just tried some other ones. I think there was a Jackal makes one too. So maybe if I get a little better at it, I'll do a video on that too. But that's one thing about these and about fishing in general, is I like to try new things, just because, especially some of these tournaments and challenges that you know, me and Adam will be partaking in, there might be some times where I only can use a drop shot, so I'd have to find a way to get better at it. So some of those stuff, you know, are going to fall into play, but I just want to be the best fisherman I can and try to get as good as I can at every different aspect of bass fishing. So last but not least, when it gets a little warmer, I definitely like to throw a Shaky Head. And this, I have a couple different types of heads that I bought. The one is obviously weedless, so I went with a weedless type just to see if it would how it would work. I've never used this one yet, back when I bought it, so you can see it's more of an EWG style hook. I also have just a plain. I also have just a plain Shaky Head there. Then I also have a screw top Shaky Head there. So what happens is you screw the bait into this area here, and then you hook that in and then rig it Shaky Head style. And with the Shaky Head, normally the only type of baits that I'm rigging up with that are going to be mainly the straight tail worms. The Zoom trick worm has a bunch of different colors, so I like to use that one. Gives you a lot of different variety there. And then I just try to mix it up based on normal soft plastics and water clarity and all that kind of stuff. So I'll throw ones that have you know, little chartreuse on it if there's a lot of sunfish around the area, bluegill. I also have more June bug colors. And what I do with my Shaky Head box is I have basically just a plain old box, but in here, on this side here, I keep all my Shaky Heads. I gotta still stock up on a couple more different sizes and stuff. But in here, in order to keep different types and colors, I put them into these little soft plastic and just Ziploc bags. And then I put them in there, one, so the colors don't bleed together, because especially with soft plastics, you gotta be careful if you're putting them in there. The fact that they'll bleed together is probably highly likely. So this allows me to take only one box, but I can get probably, I think I have about 10 or 12 different colors in here. So no matter what, I have a chance of being able to have the lure that I want on there with me. I also am thinking about different ways of carrying my soft plastics. I rearranged, I don't know if you watched the finesse jig video, but I changed my whole finesse jig setup again. My box, I just put all my finesse jigs in a box, and I made another box for more pre-spawn trailers, and then also more regular, more summer, springtime trailers where they're a little more floppy and have a little more action. So Then I'm just going to maybe pack some of those little speed bags with additional soft plastics if I need them. I'm just trying to find the best, most efficient way, and I really struggle with that when it comes to jigs. So it's the one that I have the most problem with, trying to figure out how to transport that and get it. So I have everything I need and fit it all in one backpack, but not limit my choices there. So maybe I'll try something with that, with some of these other baits, see what I can do there. So that was part 2 of the pre-spawn baits, and then next week, hopefully, if the weather permits, I'm going to do some fishing. I don't know when the video will be out because I'm planning on fishing on the day I usually edit, but that's hopefully the next video, and hopefully we can get into some bass that are ready to eat. It's going to be an exciting spring. I'm looking forward to it. I know Adam's looking forward to it, and we're going to see what we can do out there. We're going for a PB. I'm going for over 4 pounds this year. I think I was just at 4 pounds, under 4 pounds last year, so I'm going over 4 pounds. If there's a 5-pounder out there, I'm okay with that too. So, but anyways, we'll just be happy to be out there. So, thanks for watching Steve-O's Fishing, and we'll see you next time.